Today we are looking at a painting that is displayed in the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. This is an oil and canvas painting by Dahl, measuring 60.5 centimeters by 95.5 centimeters. The painting, titled View from Vaekaro Near Christiania, was painted in 1827 and was initially commissioned by the Hamburger Kunstverein. The Hamburger Kunstverein was an artists' cooperative and exhibition society, which was a promotional society for artists who were popular at the time. The painting that we are comparing it to is Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, which, although is different in terms of style and technique, also illustrates a melancholy landscape.
At first glance, this painting appears to be a very simple landscape with not much to it, but has many underlying details that can be seen the longer you look. Immediately, your eye is drawn to the relationship between the couple and the ship that seems to be docked for the night, both very dark, which contrasts the lightness of the water and the moon in the middle of the painting. Dahl uses chiaroscuro to make a sharp contrast between the light and darkness in the painting. The water is reflecting the light from the moon, which makes it the brightest part of the painting. Dahl uses white to really bring out the lightness in the water and bring it out the other more subtle blues and red undertones as well. By using this technique, in comparison, the detail of the fishnets hanging in the harbor and the ship stand out, as well as the darker details in the foreground of the painting. It is through these darker details and the use of shadows that the artist creates a melancholy mood overall that makes the viewer feel a sadness similar to that of the couple in the foreground of the painting.
The ship and the contrast to the pink light reflecting off the water seem to be the focal point of this painting. The detail in the ship is striking and arguably the most interesting part of the painting, even though the ship appears to be quite far away from the shoreline. Dahl's attention to detail makes the painting appear very realistic, using dark brown and green colors to convey the realism in the rocks and the building to the side, whereas the pink in the sky and the reflection on the water directs the eye to the center of the painting. The viewpoint of the painting is slightly above and behind the couple in the front, and it feels as if you, as a viewer, are standing right there on the harbor looking onto the ship as well.
There is also a very distinct balance in the painting between the darkness and light in the sky from the central point of the moon to the rocks and shack balancing each other out in the foreground. The landscape is also very proportional in scale, which creates a sense of depth that makes it feel more realistic as a viewer looking onto the painting. With all this attention to detail, Dahl really creates a way for the viewer to see what he sees. Dahl was known for his technique of painting these landscapes simply based on memory from the images he has seen. The attention to detail that he captured through this painting, even though he was not painting while still looking at the scene, is truly remarkable and makes his painting that much more interesting.
In comparison, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh is very different from a visual standpoint, even though they were painted only 22 years apart. While Dahl's style is very realistic and uses a lot of depth, Van Gogh's painting is abstract and two-dimensional. The detail is not as sharp in Van Gogh's piece, and while Dahl uses a warm color palette with pinks and reds, Van Gogh uses a cool palette with blues and greens. Both of these artists depict a nighttime scene with a central focal point that's surrounded by contrasting light colors to create a balanced landscape. Each painting has its own melancholy feel that evokes a sense of sadness in the viewer, although the style of painting is very different.